Hello world, I'm back. Today I want to talk about the dragon and the snail. For me, this is a representation. This whole episode is really going to be about how much do you really need to do to make an accomplishment or to reach that milestone. Clearly, you ask two different people, you're going to get two different answers. This is just how I like to think about it. What I like to think helps me, though I'm not that disciplined, so I often don't actually accomplish my milestones. But at any rate, I mean, geez, just look at how slowly I put out new episodes. In short, I am no expert. I'm not a great role model, but these are my thoughts nonetheless. And hopefully you appreciate what I have to say and you get something out of it. So, how do we make progress? Well, personally, I'm a big fan of the slow and steady method. I probably could have called this episode The Tortoise and the Hare, but life isn't a race, so I don't want you thinking that way. I don't like to think that way. Unless you're doing something competitive, unless you're like a competitive athlete. That's a little different. But most of us aren't. So don't try to beat someone else or emulate someone else. Be who you are and work at your own pace. And my pace is that of a sleepy, sleepy snail. Very slow. I move so slowly, I have trouble staying motivated, and yet it's still possible for me to make progress. This is because it doesn't take as much effort as you might think. A snail is capable of just as much as a dragon. Just maybe different things. Every person has different strengths and weaknesses. We all know that. But the snail and the dragon and the snail. It was a few years ago I was studying Buddhism, and my teacher lent me a biography of one of his heroes, Yamaoka Teshu. I'll put a link to the wiki page about him if you want to delve into this. I don't remember the exact biography that I was given, but they'll all give you similar stories. Teshu was a famous samurai in the 1800s who supposedly reached enlightenment and was overall a fascinating character. I highly recommend you actually look him up and read about some of his antics. They're fantastic. But my point of bringing up Teshu, he was a brush painter amongst other things, and he made many, many, many paintings. But in the biography I read, it showed this one set. It was two brush paintings, both depicting Mount Fuji, the largest mountain in Japan. And in one picture, it showed a swirling dragon rushing up past the top. And the other picture, it showed a little snail right at the bottom. And the text, the words that Teshu had written to go with this set, translated roughly to, if a snail sets out to climb Mount Fuji, surely it will do it. And this is to show that both the dragon and the snail are capable of climbing the same mountain. So, which is better? Is the dragon who effortlessly flies to the top on the first try, who has such prowess that there is like no need for discipline? Is that better? Or is the snail, who has to persevere for months or possibly years to accomplish the same task, who has no prowess but only discipline, is the snail better? I don't think one is better than the other. I think they're equals. They're just different strengths. I certainly know I'm not a dragon, and I'm okay with that. I am a snail, very proud snail. Most people are able to move and accomplish things faster than me, and that's fine. I know I said this already, but it's important to move at your own pace, whatever that is. It's also important to acknowledge that you don't have to work on something for hours and hours every day to make progress. Sometimes you have a deadline. It's important to do the hours and hours of work, but I'm not talking about a job here. I'm talking about just bettering yourself. So with that in mind, most people don't realize how little it can take to make a surprising amount of progress. Just 30 seconds a day can lead to increased flexibility or strength. Mind you, doing more than 30 seconds a day will produce a greater result, but it's a place to start, and one that really will work. But you have to actually do it every day for an extended period, like probably a couple months before you're going to be able to notice the difference, but you will make improvements. I know a lot of people are going to be skeptical of how much you can really do with such a small amount of time. Again, it's about the persistence and the perseverance. You can't make long-lasting progress by doing something just once. I don't really care if you do it for 20 hours straight. You're not going to suddenly become strong. You're just going to be sore. Or your mind's going to hurt from reading that much if you're not used to doing that, if you haven't built up to doing that already. So it's better to do it for just 1 hour, but do that for 10 to 20 days. You'll be doing the same number of hours over a longer period of time. And that gets into my thoughts on how the brain and body needs rest and retraining to actually retain something. Or how, no matter how good you once were, you can lose a skill without practice. But that's a little bit of a rabbit hole, and I actually want to show some research. So the U.S. Surgeon General's recommendation for adults to be really healthy is to do a moderate workout for at least 150 minutes a week. That comes out to just over 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes a day isn't huge. A lot of people actually get that from just whatever their job is. But there are even shorter workouts that supposedly are backed by science. I remember the 7-minute-a-day high-intensity workout that was really popular about 10 years ago. You can still make great strides in your health with even less or even gentler workouts. Time magazine published an article about 4 months ago from the recording of this about this specific topic. I have the link in the show notes. It references multiple studies that looked at longevity rather than physical capacity. So while much harder to quantify and much harder for a person to necessarily notice or feel, it does have real effects. These long-term health benefits came from as little as 10 minutes a week. That's about 90 seconds a day. All you have to do is stand up, walk around your chair every 20 minutes, and you'll have accomplished this. My math might be a little off. You might have to do 90 seconds on Saturday and Sunday too, but still. It used to be believed that to make physical gains, you had to exercise for a minimum of 30 minutes, ideally an hour, at least 3 times a week. They have clearly disproved that. Perhaps if your goal is to lose a lot of weight, you need to work out like that, but to just slowly improve your overall health, to just make some progress, you only need to do more than you currently are. And not by a lot. Just be persistent with it. I remember learning in college, I couldn't find this one, but I read in some book about a study done on rabbits a while back that demonstrated that rabbits maintain their muscular gains for about a week. At the end of that week, the atrophy starts to kick in, and they are basically back to where they were roughly a week prior. So that's why you have to work out more than once a week to actually make gains, to get stronger. And we all know that the more you repeat the same action, the faster you learn it. So maybe that's why just 30 seconds a day can make progress. It won't be fast, but if you did more like 30 minutes at a time, you could go from having to do it every day to just 3 times a week. But for a snail like me, I'm okay going slow and steady as long as I'm making progress. Again, that means being diligent, which I'm not the best at. Maybe that's another topic. Maybe that's someone else should talk about. But I've been mostly talking about exercise here. I really, truly believe the same principles apply to mental activities too. Studying, reading, meditation, the more you do it, the faster you'll progress, but just a little bit every day will still make progress. So if you're only going to put in, say, 5 minutes a day on something, what should you choose to work on? I don't know about you, but I've been hearing the just 5 minutes a day advertising since I was a kid. I even had teachers telling me that sort of thing. You just do this routine for 5 minutes a day, do this meditation for 5 minutes a day, study this language, yoga routine, learn this, do that just 5 minutes a day, and you'll fix your whole friggin' life, is what it sounded like with every single advertisement. No more pain, no more weakness, gain brilliance. I hate those advertisements. You're not going to get a magical change from this. You're not going to suddenly be pain-free and the smartest guy in the block because you're doing something 5 minutes a day. You will make progress, though. You're just not going to change your whole life. I guess maybe if your pain is really simple, you could actually fix the pain with just 5 minutes a day. Like, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but this is more a slow, steady, not trying to make great strides quickly kind of thing. So you can't change or learn everything from just doing a little bit every day. But what can you do? Well, probably already guessed it by now because I've said it a bunch of times. You can improve. You can learn one thing over time. And you get to choose what one thing you want to work on, what one thing you want to improve. It's kind of exciting, but also, for me at least, a little bit intimidating. Like, you have to pick. Only one? There's so many options? Which one do you need? Which one do you want? I mean, ideally, I think it should be whatever your weakest aspect is you should work on. So that's what I think of for doing for myself. But in reality, I choose whatever it is I might actually do because it takes the perseverance. Whatever I might actually be passionate enough about at the time to continue on. And I still see that as improving myself. So it's really all about the persistence here, folks. Not so much about the quantity versus quality, although, those do help. Again, the more you do it, the better a job you're doing it, the better you're going to progress. But it's far more important than doing it a lot or doing it perfectly is just doing it. Then you do it again and again, and that's the hard part, the persistence. But that's really just the repetition is all you need. And I do tell exactly this sort of thing to my clients. If they're trying to get healthier in any manner, be it diet, exercise, whatever, just be yourself. Whether you're a dragon or a snail or a monkey or a fish or a dog or a human or something else, whatever you are, that's great. And that's you. And you need to work at your pace. And that's really all I have for today, folks. I hope you liked it. And I'll talk to you next time.